everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life After Kids with Doctors Brooke and Lynne. I'm Dr. Brooke.
And I'm Dr. Lynne.
Thank you for joining us again for another episode. This is quite a topic.
Yeah, we're tackling this one, and we're going to be tackling a similar topic related to spouses or partners in a future podcast. But we're talking about connecting with your kids, reconnecting with your kids, your grown kids.
Yes.
Yes.
And through a couple of different lenses, right?
Specifically, we're going to give you some guardrails, I guess, or guidelines, because every person is unique, but we have these 4 broad categories. We talk about this in our What's Your Purpose quiz. If you haven't taken our What's Your Purpose quiz, you're going to want to go to our website, www.lifeafterkids.com. The easiest way would be, it's in the upper right-hand corner.
Yeah.
It says take the quiz. But in that, you'll learn which type you are, which of those 4 broad categories. And then we're going to talk today about your kids, because your kids are going to fall in one of those categories too. And what makes, humans so fun and different is that even your children can be something so different than you.
Yeah.
And so that can be, if you're out there and you have if you have a problem connecting with one of your children, this can be a great way to bridge the gaps, because we're approaching this with some understanding for who they are.
Yes.
And how they best will connect with others. So we're coming at it in seeing who they are and helping them to, helping them see who they are.
I love it. And not only that, no, you held your train of thought there. I think not only seeing how they connect with others and helping them know who they are, but also helping us connect to them in a better way.
Thank you. I think I was trying to get there. Yeah, because I think if we project who we are and just approach people, and we have a tendency to do that, is we're going to, just like with the love languages, right? We want to love how we want to be loved.
Yep.
We want to connect how we want to connect. And unfortunately, that isn't the best way to reach a person.
That's right. And throw in, if you have more than one kid in the house, they don't all want to be related to the same way. It took me forever to realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what makes life and motherhood so fascinating and such a journey and a joy. And it keeps figuring all those little things out.
Yeah. And it keeps you on your toes. And I think one of the hardest things for me as my kids get older, and granted, I have 3 boys, so that might make it a little different, but just is connecting with them on a real level.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I would imagine that's harder with boys too.
I think it is. And I'm realizing I have this sense of, especially with AJ, who's in high school, and they all go through, I think, that phase where they just want, just leave me alone. I'll see you later.
Bye, Mom.
But he and I were always so tight, and I realized that I have to do a better job of, because what I'm sensing, it's all happening so fast, the other 2 out of the house. And I'm thinking to myself, if I don't make this foundation here solid now,
yes,
it's not going to be any easier when he's out of the house.
Wow.
So understanding how to connect,
harder.
Right. Connect with him now, so you have a strong foundation, so that when they do leave out or they're out permanently, you still have a connection.
That's what I have here as the main, I guess, rule or practical tip I want to get across today is start early and do it often. Start early and repeat when it comes to trying to connect with your kids.
Yes.
The more effectively you can communicate in the way that they want to be communicated or connected with, the better response you're going to get back.
Yes.
If you're just going to be hard-headed and come at it from the way that you want to approach it, and just, this is my way or the highway and you better like it, or we're going to just sit here and connect. It's not necessarily going to work that way, right? It's just, your kids are going to rebel.
Absolutely
not. But if you can try to come at it from a lens of who they are and really seeing them, you might be surprised at how open and receptive they are to giving back.
I have to do that more with my middle son. I've talked about this before, but I am doing a regular practice of put myself in his shoes for the moment, and what is it, knowing him, that he would need from me, instead of just what I think needs to be said, or how can we connect?
Yeah.
So
how's that strategy worked for you?
It is working actually very well. I feel like we are closer than we've been. I feel like we're having better conversations than
Good.
we've had. I've realized like even just little things, and this is a little off the topic. I know you want to get deeper and more specific here, but just like he is not a kid, and maybe a lot of kids are like this, but he does not, you cannot talk to him in the morning. And I want to have the,
I think you're right.
and
A lot of
it's
kids
like,
are
I
that
just,
way.
especially him though, AJ is a different story. He'll
Mm.
gab my ear off, but Andrew, and I feel the sense because he's a senior, he's leaving home that I want to, connect with him as
Yeah.
much as I can in the morning. He's there, but I've realized nothing good comes from having a conversation, even a light conversation with him in the morning. It just doesn't. And it doesn't make him like bad or not like me or that he's a pain, like whatever, that he should show more respect. It's just that he's not here for, that's not the time to talk with him.
So do you voice that out loud, or do you just
Nope.
not? Okay.
I just
Are you
learned.
worried he would get the message that mom doesn't care about me? She
Nope.
doesn't talk to me in the morning? No,
No.
because he's okay.
And if anything, I see that on the other side of that, after realizing I've become very, very self-aware and aware of the situation and how he's receptive of things. And in realizing that, I backed off of like having a morning conversation. And I even told my husband, like, you have to just give him his space in the morning. That this is not the time to be talking about like, what do you think of college or what are you going to do?
Right.
Just because my husband's a morning person and he's go from the start.
I'm Kenny.
I mean,
I'm here to say
oh
good
my
day.
gosh, yeah, I mean, really. And he starts his day sometimes at 4 a.m. So he's had like half a day by the time we're all up and he's on his third cup of coffee. Anyway, I digress. But what I've seen in over the course of the last couple months, backing off and giving him space where he needs it, if anything, when we do talk, he is way more receptive. And
You're
when
letting him come to you.
now when he's leaving the house, by the time he's had breakfast and he's leaving, and I say, "Hey, have a great day. I'll see you when I go home from school. I love you. Thanks, mom. Love you too." Instead of because he's just been annoyed because I was trying to
Yeah.
talk to him.
The whole time. Yeah, I love that. That's great. Good self-awareness. Okay, so you're probably sitting there going, all right, I've taken the quiz, or I want to take the quiz, but what does that mean for my child? So your child is probably not going to get on there and take our quiz. So, but take heart. There are some ways that you can see some strengths as being an objective viewer. So trying not to be their mom because, we look at our kids and they're just so amazing and they do everything great. But instead of that, just stepping back and looking at them like, okay, they do this really well. This is a strength of theirs. So here's some questions to ask. Is it something where they really excel in getting things done? Do you have one of those kids that is like got a to-do list and like is never late on the homework and has their rooms neat and tidy and gets on the projects right away? That happens to be my daughter. And, so that's a strength of hers.
Yep.
So getting things done is a way to connect to her. Do you have, maybe if you don't have that, maybe you're laughing as I say that. And
I'm chuckling a little bit over here.
maybe
Nope.
no, not my kid. Maybe your kid is more of a motivating, influencing, leading others. For instance, AJ Stillwell. Like, I think he's a magnificent motivator.
Oh, sorry, magnificent motivator.
Yes.
Yes,
because
he's getting the people on the bus.
he is getting the people on the bus. He's not driving the bus. He's not doing the thing, but he will get the people there. Yeah.
AJ is the kid in the heart of New England who went to school with all 8 of his Pittsburgh Steelers jerseys and had all of his friends dressed as the Pittsburgh Steelers for a flag football game before school ever started.
See,
and this is like New England Central. I mean, right?
Patriots.
We hate,
wow.
They hate the Steelers. Yeah, I mean, the point is the kid is getting people to do what he wants them to do, which by the way, Kenny and I joke all the time because the other 2 are going to be out of the house. We're doomed.
Yeah, you are. I've seen him try to take you guys on and there's I don't even know why you bother.
We get to the point where like, just do what you want.
All right, maybe that's not your kid. Is your kid a strategist or an analyzer? For instance, they love data, they love facts. Like you have to come at them with a very rational, non-emotional argument, or point of view. Are they that very, just that very buttoned up type where, especially with their thinking, in terms of being much more reserved, non-emotional? That would be your middle son. Yes.
Mhm.
That would be my oldest son. He's an analyzer
And
for sure.
do they more black and white then too?
Very black and white. Very black and white.
Because we are such a snarky family, and I can't tell you the number of times that I've said things to Andrew that are absurd, and he'll go, "Really?" Because he's so black and white. Like, Andrew,
You can't fathom that you would be just
that I'm making a
saying
joke
something.
and be
Oh,
so.
bless his heart.
Yes.
Okay. And then the fourth type is relatable and fun, loving, easy for others to like, likable. And I think that's Anthony. That's
I was
funny.
just gonna say,
You
I think between the two of us, we have one of each.
Yes. Oh, that's so funny. They rounded out.
Yeah.
That's interesting. See, I just surprise myself every day. I love learning new things.
It's interesting. It's fun to have this conversation. And now I hope people that are listening will think about this with their kids, because
Yes.
it is, and I think we'll relate to all of them on a different.
You could take this further. You could think about your kids as friends. You could think about your friends' kids,
Yeah.
right? Like we just did.
Yep.
So, all right. So that being said, you want to kind of take those broad categories and see which one that your child or children fit the most in.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that, is powerful, because now you can connect to them again in the way that they are wired, in the way that they are uniquely designed. So,
Can you give example?
yes. So I think that for instance, the diligent doers.
Yep.
So
People
we want
that like to get stuff done.
Yes, these are the executors. They excel at getting things done. So do things with them. So Lila loves, like, when we just sit, her connecting would be to look at swimsuits. And I mean, she is a teenage girl, but she wants to get these things ordered up for, she's got some trips in the summer and some things going on. And, that would be good time spent with her, is just to sit and let her get some things like that done, shop. But she also loves it when I help her do her laundry, right? So she likes to have a neat room. She is once a week doing her laundry. She loves that.
I
when I help
imagine
her
this
with
is
it.
the kid that if there's a project that you could do together, maybe around the house or elsewhere, it would be a good,
Yes,
that would
she
light them up,
loves
right?
organizing shelves, like the pantry.
Mhm.
She'll do that on her own, but if I were to jump in and we were to do it together, that would just really fill her cup.
Yep. And it would be good time spent.
Yes. Yeah. Here's just another practical way, help them study. So she has initiated this, but she's, got a test or whatever, and they do those Kahoots or they do whatever, and they've got the quizzes. And so she'll bring it down. And even if it's something that's written right there, she could do that on her own, but she likes to involve me with it. And so I can help her and quiz her and make sure that she's remembering what she needs to remember.
Yeah.
Point it out when she's wrong. She's not like that, but.
And you love that.
Poor Lila. All right. So I think the important thing is you want to reward the behavior that you want to see more of too. So like if you're, if your child, and just talking about getting them to connect, right? We want more of that, right? We want to spend more time with them. I think most of us are craving that.
Yep.
Right. So if they do call us from college, or if Andrew did open up in the morning, right? Now that may not happen, but when he does open up, how would he respond if you just said straight out how much you enjoyed that and said that meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah.
Would he appreciate that, or would he get embarrassed? Or
no, I think he would appreciate that.
Yeah,
I do, for sure.
It's very straightforward, but it's something we don't forget. We often forget to take that step and just say, hey, I really thank you for texting me. That really meant a lot to me. Right.
Yes.
And I think we can leave a lot of things unsaid that seem obvious, but we should say them, especially when our kids are out of our house.
Especially if you do it, to your point, in a very straightforward, matter of fact way, I would think, for these analyzers, right? That's just, thank you for that. I appreciated it. That would be huge.
Yes.
And I want to just say here too, because I have one that's a relator and one that's more of an analyzer, and you can't my relator will gab my ear off all day long. And I want that same type of a relationship with the other one, but that's not who he is. That doesn't mean I have a bad relationship with him. This
And
is
it
the
doesn't mean
thing.
he's a bad kid or
Either. It doesn't mean he doesn't like me. It doesn't mean we're not close. It just means he
that's a
is
really good point.
differently wired. And a lot of moms write into us about their kids, leaving the house and they never hear from them. They don't want to talk. It could not have anything to do with the relationship. It just could be their
The type of
personality. So you have to
person.
find other ways to sort of
Yeah.
connect with them.
Yeah. Great. So that was diligent doers. So now we're talking about the awesome analyzer.
Yeah, we
So I'd
jumped
love
over
to
to
hear
that.
some examples. So I have just written here, play computer games with them. I mean, they're likely kids if they're so black and white and they're that sort of, smart sort of kid, heady kind of kid, they may like that. Or movies. And then discuss those in-depth issues at play. So I know that you guys like to watch movies. Do you like to then break it down and talk about the plot? And
He does.
yeah, so you doing that with him, right, as a way of connecting.
I can promise you that he would kick me out of his room if I asked him to play a computer game with him. Every kid's different, but not Mike. Like he takes that so seriously that
Yeah,
forget it. But
you're not coming in as a beginner.
no, to your point though, he will show me YouTube videos or TikTok reels or anything something that's taught him something or something that has to do with anything that he likes till the cows come home. And sometimes I'm like, not this again. But I sit there and watch every single one and ask him about it. What did you, who is this? What does it mean? Just because
I need to take a page from your book.
any way that I can
patient.
connect. Well, because
Really?
yeah, but
you're doing this now.
in fairness to you, Lila will talk your ear off. My point is,
you have to take it when you get it.
yes. And I don't know if this would be generally across the board for analyzers or not, because I don't know how this plays out, but with him specifically, I don't know if it's because he falls into the analyzer category, he's introvert or what, but he doesn't want to talk all day long. So if there's something that he is interested in, or he's just learned, or he's researched, or whatever it is, and he wants to have a chat about it, I've got to be all ears if I want to connect with him.
Got it. I love that. Everybody can take a page from your book on that. Okay. Yeah. So just to finish that off, they love deep discussions about topics that interest them. So whatever they're interested in, learn about it and then connect. And I think that's really, really, really wise to do their whole life. Maybe you don't understand their work, but they're very engaged with it. How can you do a Google search? I don't know. Ask them a question that might seem silly, but really be interested in learning about what it is that they're interested in.
I think that would apply, especially for an analyzer, wouldn't it?
It would.
I mean, this is great advice for a mom whose kids are out and they're not hearing from them as much as they would like to, or don't have the relationship they would want to bring it back.
They're not
what's going on,
They're not connecting just for connecting's sake, like our relators.
Yes.
Right. And so if you are a mom, that's where this gets really cool. It's like now thinking about what your type is and how you're relating to that kid. So, if you're a relator, you're going to maybe struggle with the awesome analyzers a little bit because they're just so cut and dry or they in general. And they're not out to relate just for kicks. Right. But there's still so much that they have to offer and they're so cool and just got to break through that.
Yep.
And get inside. All right. Magnificent motivators. Well, AJ Stillwell for sure. So they're usually funny.
Check.
Funnily enough, debating with them is a favorite activity. So they love debate. I know. It tires us out, but they actually get thrilled by that.
Kenny and AJ both.
Oh, boy.
Kenny is my husband, ladies.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, when Andrew leaves me alone with those two, I'm going to be in the funny farm.
They're just going to go at it all day long.
Yes. Or they're going to debate me all day long. And when they start debating each other, it's even worse.
Compliment them for their leadership that they display, right? So these kids are natural born leaders. They like to talk and they're very convincing. Go along with what they suggest and then compliment them for the idea that they came up with. So just again, reward that behavior that you see them excelling in because they then feel very seen and heard, and they're being rewarded for something that they know they do well, or they
Mhm.
may not have instinctively known they do well, but now they're seeing that you're pointing that out for them and leading them in that way.
And I would venture to guess that, correct me if I'm wrong, if you know this is one of your children and they're older and they're out of the house or they're in college,
Yes.
this is probably absolutely not the kid that you want to tell what to do.
That's a great,
Some of our other ones, we can maybe guide them and be more direct about what advice we would give them. With these guys, that's probably going to shut. I don't know.
no,
Like,
I think you're right. I think that you can still debate them. I think that that's a place of, like, for instance, they do feel engaged by that, but make sure that you're open to their point of view and you're not just debating to win.
yes,
If you're just debating to win, you're going to lose them. Because
yes,
frankly, they're probably better at this than you are.
yeah.
And they're gonna, which is why AJ wins so many arguments, right?
Yes. Did probably, if you're just leading with I'm right and I know I'm right, you don't want to have an open-ended conversation.
No, but
You're
these
going
are
to
the
shut them
kids that
down.
want to talk about politics and want to talk about the state of the world and, speak to that. That can be hard because especially if you have differing viewpoints,
Yeah, which can happen.
but we all need to be a little less, I think, sensitive to that. I think COVID really kind
Yeah.
of had us retreating in our shells a little bit. I think it's time to be open and listening to other people and the point of view. And I think that's the way
I
that
would
we
hope
heal.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way that we heal, is kind of come back together. All right. And then finally, our remarkable relators. Well, these guys are just so lovable. I mean, this one it's fairly obvious, right? So spend time with them and then make your home hospitable. If we're talking about having kids come back, you probably don't have to worry about your relators coming back to stay to visit you. They're always coming back, especially if you make their favorite food and buy their favorite snacks. And you send them texts that show you're thinking of them. They're lovable and likable, and they love to be loved on that way. So they're very easy kids usually to establish those types of relationships with. But don't make it a guilt trip. Still, it's not going to work. You can't ever go there with any of these types. It can't be, oh, your poor mother.
No, that's not going to get you anywhere
No.
fast. But that's so interesting. Now I'm seeing my relationship with each one of my kids in a whole new light.
I love that.
Because honestly, it's fun to have. I mean, I know this work. I mean, you
Yeah.
put the quiz together, but I know it's not like I'm hearing this for the first time, but
No,
I've
there's
never
always
talked
something
through this
some insight to be
specifically
made.
about each of our kids. And, Anthony he's just so
Easy.
he's easy. Yeah.
Well, it's easy for you because you have a lot of relatable strengths too.
True.
And people love to spend time with people they are like. It's just because it's easier.
That's how, yeah.
Yeah, but that's why I think that different people are in our lives for a reason, because we learn to, especially our kids, we have to learn to love them. It stretches us. It makes us more well-rounded people
Absolutely.
by learning to connect with other types.
Yeah, it's great. And I think it makes it, my prayer, especially recently as my kids are getting older, is help me to be the mother that each of my kids needs. Because they all need something a little bit different.
Really beautiful.
And knowing things like these types of tools are so helpful.
So practical,
Even
right?
like
We're going to do this with our spouses too in a few
gonna be fun.
episodes. I can't wait to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is also, I think, great to talk to them. And I see Kenny, my husband is having, me too, but he's really been having conversations with our older two about what their next step is after college. Cause he's in business. Well, I am now too, but that was Ken's major from the start. Like that's where his life has always been. And both of our boys want to get in business, but business is such a broad category. So he's helping them talk through, based on who they are, what's going to be best for them, where their strengths lie, and what they're going to like the most. And because Andrew's an analyzer, right? He's talking, I think Kenny just knew this inherently. He's talking to Andrew about, you're probably going to be the guy that wants to be more on the like numbers ends of things. You might be the accountant or get into the financial piece or keep, as opposed to like human resources or sales.
Sales.
You're probably not going to love that. Whereas Anthony, who's a relator,
Yes.
He's going to be the person that would be really good at
Sales
maybe
and marketing.
sales, marketing, or even HR.
Yeah.
Because he management even,
Right.
you know?
No, and that's funny because, you know, Kenny is a magnificent motivator.
Yeah.
He's so influencing.
Yep.
He's one of the most influencing people I know. That's where AJ Stillwell comes from.
Oh my gosh.
But so as a strength, this is just like a side note, but as a strength of his, he's influencing his kids on a path that he can see the outcome. And, you know, they'd be smart to listen.
He's the puppet master.
Yeah, that's a better way of saying it. That's such a better way of saying
I hate when he tries to pull my strings. I know him well enough now to
I know.
stop
Same. I'm like, I'm on to you.
Yeah.
And then I'm so polite. Usually I don't want to like point it out, but I just like sit there and nod when he's talking to us.
Oh no, you need to just tell him that's enough.
Oh, when we talk about our vacations and he's like trying to sell it like it's good for me.
Yep.
I'm like, I know that's not the case.
Yes.
But, all right. So my point rounding this out is just work on, this may seem unrelated, but we need to work as moms on being happy and fulfilled person, and connecting with our people. But also back to that point about not making it a guilt trip. We're not going to take our unmet needs out on our family, right? So you have to have purpose, everything we talk about with our community, because if you're really just struggling with connecting with them, this is a great tool if you already have a strong, you know, understanding of each other and a good relationship. But if you've got some real pushback, it could also be just because your children are sensing that you are needing them more, and they need more space from you.
That can be a little claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Like those are really
it's a
big
give and take. And I think that it's a unspoken energy that your kids feel. If you're pulling more,
yes,
then they're going to pull away.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's true. And that's why we talk so much about having purpose in your own sense of self and something that you're doing on your own, because if you, and I'm just reiterating what you're saying.
You do that so much better than
if you need
we
to
need
find
you to do that.
all of your joy, right, and your purpose in your kids, and they're older now, that's all, those are hard shoes to fill. That's not their job. It's not their job to continue
it's a burden
to
for them.
Right. And they may start to pull back.
Yep.
They may start to pull back. So
yeah, just planting that seed there and examining that piece.
Yeah. I love that. And you know, there's a couple of women that I'm thinking of in our membership group that have spoken up about just struggling with the relationships with their older kids, but also looking for a sense of self. And I think it's going to be so interesting and awesome to see how this plays out as they find more things for themselves.
Yes.
And how that plays out in their relationships with their kids. Because my guess is it'll come full circle, you know?
Yeah. Hopefully it does. I mean, I think it can. There's so many moving parts with it all. And but I have so much hope no matter what, you know, people are resilient, and no matter what has transpired, I have a lot of hope that we can bridge those gaps with people. And yeah,
Exciting.
It's worth it.
It's so worth it. Okay. Do you have anything else before we wrap?
No, that was fun. And
that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun to see you make those insights. And I hope that the listeners got some too.
Oh yeah, I know. I hope I would love, I think it's so cool, like you said, to take that quiz and know about yourself and then start to apply it to the people around you. That just takes it to a deeper level.
Extra fun.
They could probably read the Strengths Parenting book.
Yes.
I'll link that in the show notes for all of you. That's also in our Amazon shop if you want to check out that, because that would take it another step.
Yep, that's a great book.
And ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Website is www.lifeafterkids.com. There you will find all the things, including the purpose quiz. Good luck with these kids.
And connecting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love and connection. It's where it's at.
Cheers to making the most of this phase of life.
Absolutely.